Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. My name is Joan Nwosu, and I'm the award-winning author of the book iRise, The 10 Secrets to Getting Up When Life Knocks You Down. So there's this profound quote that I love from Henry Ford, and it says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You see, life's journey is all about your mindset. Your mindset is one of the key and most important factors to create the life that you truly desire. Yes, life will always throw you curveballs. It will test, it will challenge, it will pull you in different directions. But your ability to overcome adversity and move forward with the right mindset is the secret to success. Today, we explore how to create a successful life operating from a place of abundance, not scarcity, and of course, how to overcome adversity. Our guest today is Jevon Wooden. He is an ICF-certified mindset and business coach. He's an author, a speaker, and a U.S. Army veteran. He founded Live, Not Loathe, which is a coaching and training organization to help business leaders and entrepreneurs go from distress to success, professionally and personally. His leadership experience spans from the battlefield to the boardroom. He has overcome adversity, depression, and PTSD. His mission is to empower others to increase their self-confidence, improve their self-perception, and design a life they would not need a vacation from through a mindset shift from scarcity to abundance. Welcome, Jevon, to the show.
Thank you, Joan, for having me. It is a pleasure and an honor. I love the title of the book and podcast, iRise, because that's what we are doing. We are ascending.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we get to the good, juicy stuff, tell us a little bit about your journey, because you seem to have done a lot of things. So how did you get started and end up where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, initially, it all started out of survival mode, right? When I was younger, when I was a teenager, the man you see today did not quite yet exist. So I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a polygamous household. My mom was wife two of two. So I had to figure out, one, what love was, two, how to survive, and three, just what being a man even meant, especially a Black man in America. Because we're told that we are nothing, we're told that we're angry, we're told that we won't make it past 25. All these negative labels are placed on us. So I almost made all those labels true, right? I ended up getting in some trouble at the age of 17, faced 7 years in prison for an assault and robbery charge. And in that jail cell, while I was awaiting trial to get my fate from, a system designed to do exactly what it was doing to us, my mom and my older sister came to visit me. And when I was in that visitation room, my mom told me something that really woke me up. And that was that she put the house up for me to get a lawyer. Now, when you think about this, I have 3 sisters, a brother, and my mom, right? And they all lived in that house. So if anything were to happen where the state or whoever it was, the powers that be said, hey, we're taking your house because this gentleman didn't do whatever I was supposed to do, they would have been homeless. Yeah. And that really showed me my value, right? I thought I was valueless, but I just hadn't discovered that it wasn't money that made my value, right? It was other things. It was my character. It was my compassion, the way I loved my family, all those different things that really make a person, the intangibles. So after she told me that, after I sat at that visit, I stopped paying attention to all the negative stuff that was going around. And I stopped paying attention to the shackles physically that I was in. And I started feeling like my mind was operating on a different plane. So when I went upstairs that night, I prayed to God for the first time on my own. Right. I grew up in an Islamic household. So we prayed 5 times a day, but I wasn't praying for myself. I was praying because someone told me to pray. Yeah. So this was the first time I was like, you know what? Let me try this. Let me see if this works. So I rubbed my hands together like this and I brushed my knees. I was like, all right, let me get ready. I got down on them knees and I just sat on the bed and I just asked him for another chance and really to with this newfound feeling that I had to just get a second chance on life, because I actually started caring in that moment about myself. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I didn't have to do that time. He gave me a second opportunity. And I truly feel like that was him telling me like, hey, this could be your life or this can be your life. Which path are you going to choose? He gave me the matrix pills, right? So,
You are the right.
I snatched that pill. I said, hey, I'm taking this easy, this good life, not being in jail and going back and forth and not really living life, right? So that was just an eye opener. So that's where really it all started. And that's where my love for mindset came to be.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is such a, I did not see that one coming. But you see, a lot of us, because it's so easy to just sit there and think, oh, he doesn't understand. He hasn't been what I've been through. But the truth is that everybody goes through some form of adversity. And yes, some might be seemingly more detrimental to people than others. But I think that we all have what it takes within us. If we just shift our mindset a little bit, we are able to overcome. So from your perspective now, so maybe people who are incarcerated or people who are going through like severe adversity, how did you, because you said you stopped focusing on the negative and you started focusing on the positive, how were you able to make that shift? And what advice do you have for people who need to hear that right now and make that shift in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, first, it's really a decision. Okay. Right. Once you decide to stop being upset all the time or mad at the world and you start taking accountability for your own stuff, that's when you start taking some power, because a lot of us, we don't want to be accountable. We don't want to look in the mirror and say, what part do I play in my situation? And that's, yeah, exactly. And that's what it took for me. I was like, you know what? I'm not in here because nobody else, right? I could blame my moms. I could blame us being poor. I could blame my circumstances. But I decided, hey, I'm gonna be a product of my effort, not my environment, right? Being a product of your effort and not your environment gives you agency over your life to say, hey, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I still have options. And once you can see that and you get out of that survival or scarcity mode, that's when you can start seeing those opportunities because you're creating them, right? And it's like we see it all the time, even people who are incarcerated for life, right? If you think about how Tukey Williams changed his life, he started writing children's books, winning peace prizes and stuff like that. Like, just because your physical environment or your physical situation or circumstances may not be ideal, right? We've seen where the power of the mind and your spirit takes over that, where as long as those are free, you can do whatever you want to do. Viktor Frankl's another one. Oh, yeah. He went through the concentration camps. His whole family was killed. Yeah. But yet he looked at the guards and he felt compassion for them. So it's really a decision. It's a choice. And it's a hard choice. It's one you make all day, every day, especially when people are testing your patience. But I realized that one moment, that one lapse in judgment can make or break your whole life, right? So you have to think about that. You have to take those breaths and slow yourself down sometimes to say, you know what do I want out of my life? What do I want to be known for? How do I want to live? And if what I am about to do does not align with that, I don't need to be doing it, right? Because that's really what happens. And so many of us, we get caught in like peer pressure situations, people pleasing, all these different things where our gut may be telling us like, oh, this isn't what I want to do. But something around us, there's just this weight saying, you have to do this because you have to prove that you're this and that. Well, no, you don't. Because guess what? That moment you try to prove to someone else that you are something that you're really not, you just lost, right? So you got to make sure you are calculated with your decision making, and that you understand that your value is not tied to, what someone else, your reputation that someone else is giving you. It's not tied to a street that you live on. It's not tied to the money that you have. That is not your value. You already are priceless because you're unique. You're one of one. Now you just got to figure out what that means for you.
Okay. Before we talk about the future and how you create your life and what that means for you, because I'm so excited now. So you were talking about owning responsibility, like really taking responsibility for yourself and your life and getting out of that victim mode where a lot of people are probably stuck blaming their circumstances. Oh, I grew up poor. Oh, it's my family. They didn't love me. I wasn't picked up enough in the crib. You can blame whatever. If you want to blame someone, there's always someone to blame. There's the government. There's the cold. There's so much to blame. There's always something to blame. But I love what you're saying about, take ownership, take responsibility, and then make that decision. It is a decision that you have to make, and you make it on your own. Like you got to that moment where, and it's usually one moment. Most times you can really pinpoint that moment where everything shifted, where you're like, okay, this is not what I want anymore. I want something different. Okay, so make that decision, take ownership and responsibility for your life, and then make that decision. So now you're talking about people defining who they want to be, not based on what society or what their family and friends expect them to want to be. That's a very difficult thing, especially in the society where we live, where social media is on a daily dictating how people should live their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone, and for me too, for anyone who really wants to design a life for themselves, what are some of the steps? How can they get started? How do you even know what you want? How do I know what are my values? Where do I start?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So, first of all, when it comes to social media, social media is really a tool. You have the power to say what you want on your feed. If you see something you don't like, you can say, "Hey, I don't want to see that anymore," right? And then start following accounts that align with what you want. So that's one thing. Like people always say, I had to take a social media break and all this other stuff. Well, no, you just need more discipline, right? If that's not what you want to see, don't see it. So that's, I mean, I look at my feed, I don't see none of that stuff, right? So I know it works. And so when it comes to really designing a life you don't need a vacation from and learning your values, what you value, there are a few exercises in that. One is used through therapy, coaching, counseling, etc. It's called the Wheel of Life. So you look at different domains. So you look at your relationships, money, you look at career, you look at all these different things. Some of them have 8, some of them have 10, depending on which one you use. But really, you can do it yourself. If you write down, hey, family and friends, career, money, fun, travel, whatever you think you might align with, write it down. Charity, value can be anything. A value can be whatever matters to you. And that's what I want people to understand. It's not what everyone else is saying that should matter. It's what you value. So if you value spending time with your loved ones, write it down. Write down as many things as you could think about and then rank them, right? 1 through 10. What do you think that means to you? And then once you rank it, now you know where your time and energy should be aligned, right? And if something is too high and you want to change it, maybe you're like, okay, I need to take this energy from fun and maybe put some towards professional development, stuff like that. So it just shows you where you need to be spending more time and energy. Because I hear all the time, man, I don't have time. But yeah, you do. You just ain't making time. Right. And I've been there, right? I used to work 2 full-time jobs trying not to go back to the streets. And I hated every freaking minute of it. But guess what? It molded me, when it kept me and gave me an opportunity until I can make a decision to move forward, right? Which was the military. And that's sometimes we have to do that. We're in a pattern where we don't rush. You have to take that time to plan and do the introspection and do the work to understand, like, okay, I want to be this person. How do I get there? Well, the first step is to see who you want to be, see what life you want to get, find you some virtual mentors, people you can listen to and learn from. They may not know you from a can of paint, but guess what? If I know them and I can listen to their works, I'm good. Mine was like Muhammad Ali, Barack Obama's, Malcolm X's, people like that. I used to listen to. I'm like, yeah, I like that. I like that. The Huey News. I took it. Not everything that they said did I align with, but a lot of the stuff they said and how they move, it really resonated with me. And that's what's important. We don't have to have it immediately in our environment, but we can go find it now, especially in this world. We have the internet. We can go. There's no reason why I shouldn't know what I need to know because I have the internet. I can literally search in Google and YouTube, do all these different things. So it's really up to the person to identify what they want. And then when it comes to environment, we have public transportation, right? We have our feet, we have our wheels, whatever it is that you can get around. If you are able-bodied or have a method of transportation, sometimes changing your environment is what it takes to go see the life you want, right? If I live in the hood, sometimes I might want to go see those mansions and stuff like that to say, you know what, that's possible. Because I hear Jay-Z and all these rappers talking about it. I'm like, I never seen it, so I want to go see it. So that helps too to visualize like, yo, this is possible because people are already doing it. And one of the things I always say is don't tell me what's possible because man already set foot on the moon. Now we shooting for Mars. Somebody once said that was impossible. There's no way we can travel, right? And then if you take a step under, someone said flight alone was impossible. So we all seen these, just us doing this communication. That was once impossible. So impossible, I always like the quote, impossible is nothing, right? It's really about your imagination and your mind. So if people are doing all these things, you can damn sure change your circumstances, but it starts with your mind.
Starts with the mind. Wow. Amazing. So I get that people might, I want to visualize. Yes, I want this life. I want this. I can see myself doing this is what I really want. But the current they look around where they are and they're like, who am I kidding? So what is the difference between operating from a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset? And what's the impact on whether or not you're successful?
So one of the biggest differences is scarcity is reactionary, whereas abundant is proactive, right? So with a scarcity mindset, I am going to just, life is happening to me, not for me, right? I am just I need some food. I'm gonna go make this money, right? I need this. I'm gonna go make this money, and then I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna think, I'm gonna relax. But then in my heart, I'm still like, okay, when is the other shoe gonna drop? When is this gonna go? When am I gonna need to do this? When am I not gonna have enough money? So that is the scarcity mindset, right? Whereas the abundance mindset is like, yo, I'm good. Like, even in a bad situation, let me figure out what I can do because I know I have the power to make this happen, right? It's really about belief and faith, right? Nothing, we all hear that faith without works is dead, but there's another side to that, right? Where if you do not believe, none of your actions are going to make add up to anything, right? So you have to believe first. That's really the first step to anything, is having that belief, that faith, right? That no matter if I haven't seen it or it hasn't happened to me yet, I know that I can do this, right? I know that it may take me 1,001 tries, but in that 1,001, it's going to change my whole life, right? It's really about not giving up. It's about digging deep and saying, you know what? I tried this a couple of times, and this is really what I want to do, but I need some skills. I need to figure out how I can do this. Who do I need to contact? Put myself in these rooms. If I got to take 5 buses just to get to this person and it's my last dollar, am I willing to do that? You have to be willing to make some sacrifices that's going to make you feel uncomfortable. And if you already in that situation where you feel like you're down and out, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So go for it. Right. That's the only way I was able to get out of it. I'm just going to be quite honest. I ain't have anybody helping me or telling me. Actually, when I say, hey, I'm going to the military, everybody said, you crazy as hell. You crazy. And that's how I knew I was onto something, because everyone who told me was right there with me. And I said, you know what? Y'all in the hood too. Why am I listening to you? And that's sometimes you have to think about that. Like, yo, I love y'all. And your opinion is cool, but guess what? I'm gonna do this anyway because I'm trying to do something differently. And that's what the abundance mindset allows you to do. It allows you to say, you know what? I'm not gonna do the status quo. I'm not gonna do what the average person that's in my environment says. I'm going to mix and mingle with people I wouldn't otherwise mix and mingle with. I am going to put things out there, and I'm not gonna be afraid of failure. I'm going to understand that failure is a part of the success. And I just have to keep going. And as long as I have breath in my body and my body is moving and my mind is sound, I am going to keep going. Right. I'm not going to try. I'm going to do. And when I fail, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to keep going. So that's what the difference is. See, scarcity mindset won't allow you to do that. Scarcity mindset, you say, you give it a college try. I did it once. You didn't really do it. You just like, oh, I thought about it in my mind. I dreamed about it and it didn't happen, And one of the things people always say is I'm going to let go and let God. Well, God can only help you if you do your part. Right. So that's what I want people to understand. And that's the difference between scarcity and that abundance.
I'm sorry, that just cracked me up. But that is so common. And I think that's part of this conditioning. And I have nothing against religion, but a lot of this really holds people back. And so we're not going to talk about religion, but in terms of really having that mindset, that belief, because they do teach that in religion as well. Have faith, believe that it is possible and it will happen. But when it comes down to it, I think the scarcity mindset is just behind there saying, yeah, well, not possible. Well, if it was going to happen, it would have happened already, or you don't have what it takes, or whatever it is. There's not enough money in the world to go around, or whatever lies we've told ourselves that makes us feel good and stay in the victim mindset. But you're telling us today, just believe, because once you believe that it is possible, then you will push yourself to do whatever it takes. That's what's going to keep you going back. Adversity will happen. You will fail. Like, failure is part of the process. It is part of the success journey. So embrace it, but just don't give up. Don't be too quick to say, I tried, I give up. And then I love what you mentioned about people. And I think that's another very sensitive topic. We're all human and we want the support of our loved ones, right? So you say, I want to go into the army, and people are like, yeah, right, whatever. How like you're saying it now, and you were able to do that, but for a lot of people, they're not that strong. So what advice do you have for people who may not necessarily, they have big dreams? Like, yes, you're in the hood right now, but you're thinking, I want to be this, I'm going to be that, I want to do that, I want to see the world, I want to do X, Y, Z, but they just don't have anyone.
Yeah.
And some people just need people. What advice do you have for people who are feeling rather stuck right now?
Well, again, we're in a day and age where you can find your tribe anywhere. They could be all the way across the world. Find forums that of people who are doing stuff or who have dreams like you. Go on meetup.com, find some groups in your area. Go on Eventbrite. There's really no excuse. I'm not going to let anybody make an excuse for why they still stuck, because all that, I've been there, done that. And no one, I do not let excuses fly. Actually, in the military, to my soldiers, I used to say the maximum effective range of an excuse is 0, right? It just does not fly. So that's what I would say. Like, if you really want something, you're going to be resourceful enough to find it.
It's true.
Right. I didn't have the money to do a lot of stuff, but guess what? I was like, I want that. How, instead of saying I don't have this, I said, how can I get it? Right. And not in a negative way where I'm looking to take, I wanted to earn, right? I wanted to earn it. I didn't want to take it from someone. I wanted to earn it. And that's the difference, right? I've been on the other side where I was taking and trying to figure out, because I thought that was the only way, but I know it's not, right? I know deep down inside, the belief that I'm talking about is not just in a higher power, it's in you. And that faith is in you, right? And I want people to understand that distinction, right? It's really feeling that you are capable, more than capable, of accomplishing whatever it takes. And if you don't know how to do it, you're willing to find out who knows how to do it, so you can go to that person. You're willing to work for that person if you need to, apprenticeships for free, getting a coffee, whatever it takes, because sometimes it's going to take you doing things like that, the grunt work, in order to move up to that excellence level. So you learn so much from that things. Instead of going to people and asking them, hey, can you be my mentor, my sponsor, all this crap, go ask them how you can help them. Lead with serving, and I guarantee you somebody's gonna be like, yeah, come on, queen, come on, king, let me help you out, right? I got you. I love your zest for life. I love your vibe. I love that you're willing to help, whatever. They're gonna love something about you if you're authentic with it, not because you're doing it to get something out of it, but do it authentically, right? And I'm not saying let someone use you or whatever the case may be, but you get to learn those things. If you listen to some of the success stories of your favorite person, artist, sportscaster, actress, whoever it is, chances are they were an apprentice or they found a coach that really, really resonated with them and took them under their wing. Jordan was not Michael Jordan that in high school. He got cut, right?
Yep, he got cut.
They didn't even want him, right? So that's the type of work you got to see. You got to understand. Yeah. I remember seeing Drake one time, man. It was in West Virginia years ago, and I was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" No, he's like the biggest. It's like that's what it takes.
Canada, yeah.
Right. There's no such thing as overnight success, man. It's gonna take work. Success is a gradual thing.
And I think that is so profound, because I think a lot of people think it's an overnight thing. I can just wake up and be successful. No, you can't. And people don't want to really put in the work to really achieve the things that they want to do. So I love where you took it from, where, one thing is having faith in yourself and have faith in the higher being, but also have faith in yourself that you do have what it takes. Because I do believe that we do have all it takes to achieve the life that we want. But sometimes you need to still put in some work. There's some things that you still need to learn, and you have to be willing to go through all of that. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable, really hard work.
Yeah.
So go through it. But once you have that vision of where you want to be in your life and you believe that you can achieve it, then you put in the real effort to really get to where you want to get, to learn whatever it is you need to learn. And I love what you said. You have no excuse. You don't need a tribe of, these are the people, this is my crew, these are the people I grew up with. Go find like-minded people online that can really support you and believe in you and kind of guide you. And if you need to hire a coach or whatever, then do it, because you have a clear vision of where you want to be. You're not letting the world just dictate where you end up. And then tomorrow you blame the same world, oh, big deal, it's because of this and that. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership, take responsibility today. Define what your values are, what kind of life that you want, and then go get it.
Absolutely. And you just have to grind until it comes easy. That's my saying. Like, I'm gonna grind until it becomes easy.
But we want an easy life. Come on.
Yeah. And hey, Hey, yeah, the soft life, that's the new thing, right?
That's the
Soft
new
life.
thing, man. Soft life only, soft life gang. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, man, you know what? In order to really earn that, it takes work. Like everyone we see that we're like, man, how did they get there? You know, how did they make that? Like we could say like people get stuff handed to them, fine, but what did they do when it was handed to them? Right?
Mhm.
That's the key. It's like you still have to, like we always see what if you can't handle $1,000, you're not going to be able to handle $100,000 thing. And that's really how life is, right? If you can't handle what's going on with you right now, and you can't handle like the little bit spurts of success, and if you just let go of your hands and be like, yeah, I'm good now, then you're not going to be successful for very long. It's just not going to happen for you, right? So you have to understand there's a couple of things that matter when it comes to success. One, you have to trust, right? Trust is a hard thing for a lot of us. But when you come and you're trying to build a business, an empire, you're not going to be able to do everything. You're going to have a team. You're going to have to delegate. You're going to have to hire virtual assistants, whatever you need to do. You're going to have people in your circle. And it's the same thing in life, right? I talk about the 360 support system. You're going to have people around you at different levels, right? Starts with you. That's the zero. Then you go out a little further. You got your first level of influence, right? You got your family, your friends, people who are like your advisors, right? Then you got your second level, and you have those people who maybe not aren't that close, but maybe they're acquaintances. You know them in some way, shape, or form. You can reach out to them from time to time. Then you got that third level. Those are people you might want to get to know. Don't quite know them yet, but you will, as you keep going. So just look at that, like paint a picture of who you want in your circle.
Yeah.
What you want in your circle. What jobs do you want to be filled in your life? People who uplift you, people who inspire you, people who mentor you, sponsor you, motivate you, hold you accountable. Look at that, and that's what you want to see. And then there's another principle of success, right? Collaboration. Collaboration kind of ties into that delegation and teamwork, but collaborating means that, even if you see someone in the same space as you look at them and say, hey, you know what, how can we work together instead of just hating on each other, and cussing each other out online? How can we come together and create something to expand both of our platforms? Because like you said, there's enough money, enough success for everyone. You alluded to that earlier, right? So that's something I do. Like if there's another mindset or business coach out there, I'll reach out to them like, hey, let's jump on the live, let's talk, let's cross-pollinate so we can get to each other's audiences that we normally wouldn't be seeing them, stuff like that. And it's hard for a lot of us. Like it was hard for me first coming up, but the military helped me when it comes to collaborating, looking to my left and my right, and trusting that they're going to do what they need to do. Because without that, there's no guaranteed survival. So you just have to look at it and say, why is it hard? One, why is it hard to trust? Why is it hard to collaborate? Why is it hard to share my story? Why is it hard to do whatever it is? Because that is holding a lot of us back. We are all excellent in our own right, but if you are being held back by your own internal change, then you will never be free, no matter what's going on, right? No one can hand you anything because you're already holding yourself captive.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes, and yes. Like you just hit a lot of people, a lot of us, and sometimes I'm guilty of that too. You're being held back by yourself, and the people that you think care, they don't really care. Oh my goodness, they don't really care. But okay, I know we're joking about it now, but for a lot of people, it's not that easy. When they think about themselves, they don't really feel good about themselves. They're not confident enough. They're like, I'm nothing. Who would want to listen to me? Like my story is not inspiring enough. I don't. My English is not good. I'm not articulate enough. Like yada yada yada. We make up all these same excuses again. So, what are some of the ways that people can improve maybe self-perception and self-confidence as well?
Yeah, well, I want people to understand that 85% of people in the world have struggled with self-esteem in some form or fashion in the world. That's not just the United States or Canada. That's in the world.
That's a
right?
lot.
85% of people. So you're not alone in that, right? Whoever you are not alone in that. I've struggled with it from time to time, right? And this is why I know what I'm about to say, right? So one of the biggest things and the scariest things that we need to do when it comes to building up confidence is challenging ourselves. Right? It's not running away from that fear, it's going towards it. And I know people were like, what? No, but when you challenge yourself, you start small. Take baby steps towards it. Like if your fear is public speaking, for instance, which is the top public fear and been that way for a while now, even higher than death, right? For public speaking, maybe you practice in front of a couple friends, right? See how you feel. Maybe you join a Toastmasters, maybe you join like a National Speakers Association. So you just have to look at ways, like find little baby steps that you can do. Practice in front of the mirror, whatever it is, whatever you start off with that you can master, like do that first, practice that for a while, set a cadence where you're really getting into a flow, right? So you can become comfortable with that. And then move up to the next level. Wherever you started, just move up one more level, right? And just keep building yourself up until you feel comfortable with that. And then go and don't rush into it, right? Because when you rush into it, that's where you get stuck. Then you're like, nah, see, I knew I
couldn't do it. I said it.
I said that. But we have, as humans, we have something called confirmation bias. So even though we want to try something, if it goes the way that we said it was going to go, we're like, see, I knew that, right? Instead of going, you know what? Okay, what did I do wrong, or what could I have done better? And then fixing it. And that's really a part of growing your confidence, is going ahead and applying what you've learned from your failure and then trying it again, right? Maybe you try it a different way, but that's really what builds your confidence, is successes. Many of us, we haven't had the opportunities to succeed or prove to ourselves that we are something, right? Maybe we've been held back by our parents or loved ones or authority figures in our past, right? So I get that. It's not always easy, and then also, if you have someone you can talk to about it, right? Could be professional, could be, I personally like unbiased opinions, so professionals are great. But of course, if you have a friend, that's actually going to listen, and you can set that boundary with them, like, listen, I don't need your opinion, I don't need your talk, right? I just want to vent and let you know that how I'm feeling. Like, I feel like I'm not confident enough to go for this thing that I want to do. If you can have that conversation with someone, that sometimes is enough, right? To just be able to let it off your chest. Third thing, you can write about why. Journal about why you feel like you don't have confidence. What happened? If you can find out what happened to you, that's a big part. Because if sometimes, like even with my clients, right, I'll have them go through this exercise of going back to see if they can pinpoint exactly when they lost that confidence. And then a lot of them, once they close their eyes, they're like, you know what? Yes, I remember my teacher told me that I should shut up and I would never be nothing, and if you could find that moment, now you can go back there. And it sounds crazy, but there's something called inner child healing, because it usually happens in our youth. And you can go back and you can talk to that inner child, right? And you can just sit there and be like, yo, you know what, Jevon? I know it sounds messed up right now. I know it looks like it's not going to work right now. You're like, how the hell am I going to get out of this? But look at me. I am the older you. I've grown, and I've become a man you can be proud of. So don't fear, right? This person never can't have power of you anymore. You got to have those conversations, and it's real. And you have to really be into that. So those are just a few ways, but the biggest thing is to take action. You have to go for it. That's the biggest thing. And get a group, like we were talking about earlier. Get you some support where you can say, you know what, I need some accountability partners. And then there's another level to accountability partners, your goal buddy, right? Someone who may be going for the same exact thing that you're going for.
Okay.
Right? And then y'all can just hold each other. It's more than accountability, because you're on the same track. So if you can find someone who wants that same thing, maybe it's a weight loss journey, maybe you want to start your own business, whatever, find that person, and then y'all can move in parallel. And it just makes it a lot easier, because you can bounce ideas off each other. So that's just a couple ways.
Yeah,
and I have a whole course on confidence if anyone is interested.
He has a whole course on confidence. If you haven't seen confidence right now, I'm sure you can tell. Extremely confident. But I do love that idea of having not just an accountability buddy, but also a goal buddy. But it kind of just goes back to what you were saying, where we always feel like this competitive, oh no, I'm not going to share my secrets, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. But you're saying even go further. Like if someone who's on the same journey as you, working towards the same goal, be their buddy, and both of you just keep encouraging each other and you're moving forward together. I think that's really, really, because again, it's back to that whole having someone who really buys into what you believe or what you want and they understand. So it's like-minded people. You're doing exactly the same thing. You can say, oh, have you created this? I just created mine. You want to have a look? How does that look like? Is there something I can improve? I think that's a phenomenal idea. So whatever journey, whatever it is that you're not feeling confident about in life, if you can find someone who's on that same path as well and become their buddy, I think it would really ease the fear of confidence, that fear that really holds us back. And I love what you said about the inner child healing. It is so true. It happened to me. I had to go back to go figure out why I thought I was shy. Yeah, but again, most times it actually comes from people who actually loved us. It's not some enemy with a knife. No, it's not. It's people who loved you, who said these things not to hurt you, but hey, it did have an impact on you, and you can go back and heal it. It is true. It is real, and it does happen. So I want to encourage anyone who might be thinking, oh, I can't do that, or you're feeling fearful about certain things in your life. Maybe that's a signal for you to go back and heal from that so that you can achieve and design the life that you truly want, that you don't need to take a vacation from. Because I know I take a vacation every 3 months. So hey.
Absolutely. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with a vacation physically,
No, I need a vacation for my life.
That's hilarious.
Not Cancun. Hey, that's fine.
That's all good
too. For my life, I need a break. I need to breathe.
So I wanted to touch on something you mentioned, and it's really that fear. You mentioned a signal, right? When we think of the signal, the fear, self-doubt, all those things are not inherently bad, right? They're a check engine light for us. If you think about a vehicle, when something's wrong or you need service, right, that check engine light comes on. So we have to look at fear, self-doubt, that queasy feeling we get sometimes when we say nervous, all of that stuff. Those are just signals to say, okay, something's happening. It's your body preparing for something. Now it's really up to you to say, okay, one, is this rational, right, that I'm feeling, right? Because that's where anxiety, depression, all that stuff might come in. If you can understand that, okay, this is not the response that I want to be having in this moment, right? Now you can kind of slow yourself down and get you a checklist of things that you do, like have your ritual routine. That's one of the things that helped me with public speaking, is getting a routine before I get on stage. So I do the same thing every time, right? Even when I play sports, same thing when I'm preparing for sports. So if you can get in a ritual routine, it kind of calms you and puts you in like this state where you can really focus, and it's just like, oh, I'm in the flow state. I'm in the mode, I'm in the zone. So that helps sometimes. And another thing is, like, when you feel that fear, understand, like, does it happen at a certain time when you're about to do a certain thing? Does it happen a certain time of day? So just really see like what the patterns are. If you can detect your patterns, then you can play game. Now you can play ball, because once you see your patterns, you can say, all right, I'm going to do this thing, and really pay attention, become aware or mindful of your thoughts. And you can see what you're talking to you, saying before you do that thing to yourself. Now you spell, you know what? I always tell myself I can't do this. Why is that? And then you just keep reverse engineering it. And once you find that root cause, now you can go and ask yourself why 5 times. It usually takes at least 3 to get to the root cause. Why do I feel this way? Why is it that every time I try to go on stage, something happens? Why is it this? And just keep asking yourself why every time you have an answer. And now it gives you power over whatever had the power over you, because you have to take that power back in order to move forward. So just pay attention to those signals. You don't always have to listen to them, right? You don't always have to cave in to every time you're fearful. Sometimes it's just to become aware so you can do something about it. And that's what I think, like, a big part of confidence is. It's like, is this my voice or is this someone else's voice? Because a lot of times those same people we talked about that loved us, they're just projecting their own fears and insecurities on us. When they're saying, I'm trying to keep you safe.
Don't go to, I'm just join the army. Just do a 9-to-5 job. Whatever it is, again, they love us. They're just trying to protect us. But you need to go after what you truly desire and what you want to do. So, I think, Jevon, you said it beautifully when you said, just keep moving towards it, take action, observe what's going on, observe the fear, but still take action. Go back, ask yourself the whys, the 5 whys, and try to get to the root cause and try to overcome the fear. Fear is not going anywhere. It happens to us all. It will always show up. So don't think you can wish it away. but it's what you do when it shows up that really makes the difference. And if anyone who's listening, you're thinking about, I want to create this beautiful life, I want to be successful, I want to have all these beautiful things, I know what I want, I know my values, then you're going to have to embrace the fear and really overcome all of this adversity and stuff that we're talking about today. Make sure you approach it with the right mindset. I think mindset is the most powerful of them all. Yeah, taking action is good, but it all starts with the mindset, like we mentioned. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
thanks so much, Jevon. So final question though. So what would be, in terms of mindset, so I know we've talked about the scarcity and abundant mindset. What other mindset shifts do you think is really, really critical for people who want to change, who want a different life to the one they currently have?
Yeah, there's a few, right? Again, we talked about a couple earlier, right? That mindset that you're not good enough or that you don't deserve, that needs to go. Right? That needs to go. I get it, you heard those things, or that's been embedded in you, but guess what? It's on you now, right? It's on you to change that thinking, and stop trying to confirm that that's not the case, because you're freaking amazing and you need to see it. You got to see how dope you are in order to be dope, right?
Yes.
So, so that's one. Two is the collaboration is better than competition, right? That's another mindset. We talked on that before. So you have to understand that in order to get further, faster, collaboration is the key. That's one of the things, especially in our community, like the Black community, we have to collaborate 20,000 times over because we have been competing for far too long. So it's time to come together and start creating these communities where we're just flourishing and we're thriving and we're spending dollars with each other. Stop looking at your own, people as your enemy, right? Because that's not the case. Another mindset that needs to change is that things are going to happen overnight. Just get that out of your mind. Be willing to put in the work. If you really want it, you will do it as long as it takes. You will do it as long as it takes if you really want it. Because there are going to be some times, even if you achieve the initial thing, what are you going to do after that? Right? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do after that? So understand that your why needs to outlast your excuses. Because I know, even though I said the maximum effective range is 0, you're going to make some along the way, right? So you have to have that. Find your reasons to be great instead of your excuses to be mediocre, and go for that thing. You cannot allow anything, I don't care who it is or what it is, you cannot allow anything to stop you from getting what you set out to get. Because if you do, you are going to regret it later. And one of my goals is to live with no regrets at the end. I want to pour everything out on the table, and I hope everyone listening does the same. Put everything out and do not take time for granted, because we do not know how much we're going to get.
We don't. Wow. I think I can't even say any more to top that. I think that was beautiful. But what you said about the reasons to be great and not the excuses to be mediocre, I think that is just, I've never heard that before. It's just beautiful. And I think I really want to encourage everyone. Really, we all do have greatness within us, and there's no excuse. You can achieve all these things if you want to go out and do the work. Just get it done and choose you. Thank you so much, Jevon, for being here with us. Wow. Amazing show. I really hope that you all really learned a lot. I definitely did. I hope your mindset is starting to shift, because we do want everybody to be successful, and you can be successful. You do have what it takes if you only believe in yourself and you take the action. Thank you for being here with us, Jevon. Thank you to all my listeners. I will see you same time next week on iRise Conversations with Joan.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.